now.
Hey guys, Gabe here. Big Man Comics. How you doing? It is Monday. I believe it's July 7th. Man, the time goes by fast. I was thinking about that when I woke up this morning. How quickly the time goes by. That it was just the 4th of July, just the other night, watching fireworks down in front of SeaWorld. Hope you guys are all having a great time. I haven't had a great holiday weekend, and you are back at work filling out Excel spreadsheets. Enjoy very much. I am working on a page of the Unstoppable Tires here. I am also working on that secret project, but I don't want to work on that really while I'm live on the air. But things are going great. I'm signing our contract this morning. I'm talking to my friends at the Ripperverse this morning. It's going fantastic. Guys, we have something great for you. We have something fantastic for you. We're going to have a party. We're going to have a party July 26th, 8 p.m. at Urban Coal Fire Pizza. That is in San Diego's thriving North Park District. It's north of the convention center. Not long, not at all. Not very far north at all. But my buddy owns some restaurants in town. Some really awesome restaurants. Pizza's kind of a theme with him. And but they're bar restaurants and they're nightclubs. They're full on like dance nightclubs. Like 15 years ago, I needed some extra money. And he let me be a bouncer a few nights on the weekends. And that was an interesting experience. I'd never been a bouncer before. But I am made for it. I'm a big guy. For those of you that don't know, I'm 6'4", very big, very muscular, very strong. And when you're a bouncer, it's an interesting thing. It's that old concept of when you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. You know what I mean? And when you're a bouncer, like, who, where is he? Where is he? Let me throw him out. It kind of starts to feel that way. And maybe it was egged on by the other bouncers I was working for. But it was an interesting thing being a bouncer a little bit. And the women, wife, cover your ears. The women do want to talk to you when you're the bouncer. I don't know if you know this, Avery.
Okay.
But hey, don't get mad at me. I'm not saying I talk to them or anything like that. I'm just saying it's like, oh, it's like what? Because I'm the guy with the quote unquote power. It's like I'm a bouncer. Like, what are you talking about? But it was an interesting experience being a bouncer for just a few nights. I didn't do it for very long. It was a side job. I was working at Wildstorm at the time as an artist, but I was to pick up a couple extra bucks. I made very good money freelancing comic books, but working for Warner Brothers in the studio, they didn't pay much at all. We had great insurance at first, and no, the salary at Wildstorm starting in 2008, and it basically never went up. It went up, a 1.5% a year, something like that. The starting salary in January 2008 for me at Wildstorm, I think, was $33,000, $37,000. It was like 30-something thousand. That was it. So I would get $400-something a week working there, I think, take home. I think, something like that. Maybe it was more. I don't know. But it was like 30-something, mid-30s per year was the salary to be a full-time staff colorist. So with the young family in Southern California, I did work as a bouncer at my buddy's club, Basic. It was a nightclub / pizza restaurant during the day, bar. And about 11 years ago, I said, let's have a party. It was Gabe LT's comic book kickoff fundraiser. We would do a raffle, and we would raffle off original art from me and Todd Knock and Carlos De Anda and other comic book artist friends I had. We would get art together and we would auction it off. People would buy raffle tickets, and then we would take the money and give it to the first time I did it, the CBLDF, the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund. But I think every year after that, I did it to the Hero Initiative. And that was all up until the lockdowns of 2019. And then we didn't do a party for the 2 years, 2-3 years, I think. And then we got back to doing parties last year or the year before, Adrian? I don't remember. It was last year. Last year was the first party we had, 2024, in 3-4 years. I think the last party we had was 19. So yeah, it was the first party we had in 5 years, I think, or something like that. But before that, we did it for 7 years or something. I don't know. The math is getting fuzzy. As you get older and time goes by or whatever, it kind of looks. My point is, we have a great time. Now, last year we just did it as a fan meetup and not a fundraiser, all that, buying raffle tickets. We got rid of that aspect. And we do it just like Friday Night Tights Vegas parties and the Geeks and Gamers Orlando party, where you just come in. If you're a fan of me, Nerdrotic, Film Threat, these guys, and you love our YouTube and everything we're doing, it's a chance to meet us, but not just meet us, meet the other great people that are in the family. And what I've seen in Las Vegas and stuff like that, going to it, it's been great. It's been a really great time. And I had such a nice time last year. getting to meet Big Man Comics fans and more Nerdrotic fans and, you know, Film Threat fans and all that. And so we set up an event, right? So there's tickets. You got to register for this because, you know, there's a limited amount of people. And last year the tickets were gone in like an hour or two. They were gone pronto. So, yeah, I'm very excited about that. I've got that artwork and the advertisements that ready to go. I just need to launch that maybe later today or tomorrow. So is anyone here? Hit the like, hit the share. Any questions, comments? How was everyone's holiday weekend?
Well, and to add to your party information, a good thing is that you don't have to have tickets to San Diego Comic-Con to go.
Right.
We had people show up that just came to hang out at the fan meetup.
That's true.
And they didn't have tickets to Comic-Con, but they were so excited to be there just to go meet Nerdrotic and you and Quarter Black Garrett. And
you're not going to call him Quarter Black Gary?
Nope.
You usually do.
I got his name right.
Well, it took like 5 years.
I think he was very kind for not getting his name right and calling and combining him and Gary.
Right.
But yeah, so you can still come even if you don't have tickets to Comic-Con.
Right. We want you to. Yeah. We demand it.
Right. And we may have a few giveaways too.
Yeah, I was thinking of doing that. Haven't finalized that, but yeah, might, you know, have give away some cool stuff. Not sure.
Right.
Not sure how to figure that.
But we'll get it out there.
Yeah.
Question for you. Do you know the artist Jim Shooter?
Jim Shooter was one of the great figures in comics. He started selling scripts to DC Comics when he was a teenager. The legend is 13 or 14 years old. He started writing some stuff for DC Comics. He's a great writer. He just passed away a week or so ago.
Right.
And he was the editor-in-chief of Marvel during the Bronze Age, the late 70s into that Bronze Age of the 80s, before the 90s Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld, Tom McFarlane boom. He was the man responsible for Secret Wars, the black suit, you know, that Spider-Man gets for Web of Spider-Man, that eventually we find out is Venom. He created the comic book crossover. Secret Wars was the first like big intercompany crossover like that. He's a legend. Everyone that I never met him, but I've known of him for years because, you know, I'm a fan and a creator of this stuff. And highly respected dude, highly respected guy, very strongly opinionated guy. But from what I know, a great leader and an innovator in this business. And, you know, he got sick recently. He was about 73, and I guess he passed. So that was very sad to see. He was a legend. Never met him, never had the pleasure of meeting him or working with him, but he was a legend in this business. And he didn't quit. When he was out at Marvel, he was doing Valiant comics during the 90s boom. Valiant comics, they revived a bunch of, I think, Gold Key combo characters, Turok, Dinosaur Hunter, Magnus Robot Fighter, the Harbinger books, all of that great stuff. Exo Man of War was a huge book. And then he did Defiant comics, and he was back at Valiant. He jumped around from his own like independent companies that he worked at after Marvel, but just one of the Mount Rushmore editors in this business, and a great writer too. Back when editors were typically writers and stuff.
Came
like that.
from writers.
Yeah, we do have some editors that are real writers, but we have too many editors that are 23-year-old girls with a humanities degree or something. I don't know. I want to know if the audience wants me to make a video about this. I saw on the news yesterday. James Gunn, who doesn't seem like a great person. He seems like a creep. He's the director of the new Superman movie that comes out on the 11th. I thought it came out on my birthday. I thought I had heard somewhere it came out on July 25th. I'm glad it doesn't come out on my birthday. I would take that as a personal attack. So I guess it comes out this weekend. And he was saying, this is a book about an immigrant. You know, Superman's an immigrant, right? Is what they're trying to spin it as. And how we as a culture have lost our humanity and empathy, and that's going to piss people off. Well, screw you. That's what he said. But what you will never hear from Big Man Comics is that if I do something artistically, this, that, and the other you don't like, well, screw you. You're not going to hear that from me. The audience is loved and appreciated by me because they are the only reason that this exists. Without them, Wouldn't matter how good I was at this if there was no audience, no backers, no customers. So I want to know, do you guys want me to do like a rebuttal video to him? Because the whole reason that I went globally viral as an artist, as a comic book creator, and all that is because I, kind of stood up to DC Comics in late 2021 and basically humiliated them for their foolishness of wokeness to insult Superman, to take away his motto of truth, justice, and the American way, to have storylines focusing on the sex life of his underage son. I don't need to explain why that we're not doing that. I don't explain what, need to explain why I don't want to be involved in stuff like that. And it's amazing to me, after DC has done nothing but fail cinematically, that they haven't learned their lesson. That is amazing. It's actually kind of impressive,
That's
Would you guys
crazy.
want to hear more from me on that? So let me know about that.
I do think it's crazy that they haven't learned anything. Like,
well, I think in the religion of leftism, because it is very religious, if you look at the fervor and the violence, either it's rhetorical violence or literal violence, they are rock solid in their beliefs. And they are not wrong. See, this is the concept that doesn't cross their minds. They're not wrong. What they believe is not opinion, it's fact, is how it feels to them. And when you defy their the religiosity of their perceived notion of how reality and life should be, they want to attack it. They want to defend their notion of how things should be, and they will defend it by any means necessary. I mean, there even was a leftist group, I don't know if they're still around, called Bannon, and it said by any means necessary. And one of their logos I once saw was a fist smashing down that said Bannon on it. So no, they don't learn because in order to learn, you have to have a premise in your head that I can be wrong about things, and I am in fact wrong about things in my life occasionally. If you don't have that as a premise in your head, you can't learn. How can I learn if I know everything? And the left, they're educated with their degrees and their masters and their university, this, that, and the other. I went to college. College is easy. It's easier than high school, guys. It's way easier. Anyone can do well in college. I don't care what the subject is. I don't even care if it's engineering, biomechanical, whatever. It doesn't matter. Anyone can do well in college. It is, in fact, way easier than high school. Please say it. So, but they, as they declare anything, they declare whatever gender you want. They just declare things by fiat, right? I declare it is true. They just declare that they're smart, and then they just run with it. They just believe it. It's kind of impressive, the delusion they have there. So, of course, no, at Warner Bros. DC, they don't learn anything because people who love their fathers and their country and their culture are the bad guys. And the people who point out how everything is dumb and wrong and needs to be changed and fixed, like a little Lisa Simpson, are the good guys. And that's who they are. The people who look at everything and go, actually, that's problematic because blah, 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 blah. That's never done out of care. You know it and I know it. That is done out of ego. Look, everyone, I'm the one pointing out bad things. I'm the one who cares about injustice and bad things and animals and the environment and blah, 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 blah. It's all ego. That, just because we have empathy and conservatives don't. They don't have any empathy. They have pure, uncut, like pure Colombian uncut snow. They have pure egotism, pure narcissism, where everything is filtered through the concept of what makes me look the best, what makes me look like the most amazing, virtuous, stupendous human being of all time. Any adjective you want to use. That everything filters through that in their mind. And that's why they're for unlimited open borders, for just feelings. I'm the person who cares and loves everyone the most. And that you can't learn if you have this kind of premise in life. So they won't learn. I don't think they will. I think at this point they are who they are, and they're never going to learn. And they will, I think they'll just go out of business eventually. They'll get sold off. Something will happen. But, the leadership over there, it's terrible. And I think, I don't know if the Superman movie will do good or not. Because the director, James Gunn, who doesn't seem like a great guy to me, is coming out and kind of doing what that Zegler girl did with Snow White, right? But for whatever reason, I know one. I think I have a theory on what reason why it doesn't seem to be getting asked out of press. He's not a young girl. See, when you got a girl that looks like she could be 18 or 23, and I think Zegler's older than that, but she looks like a little brat. He doesn't look like a little brat. He looks like a dork who has oat milk in his coffee. He looks like an actual dork, but he doesn't look like a little brat. You know what I mean? So it's not as annoying. It's more like, who cares? You know what I mean? But when this little girl is saying it, you're like, are you kidding me? You know, like it feels weird to be defied by a little girl like that. You know, you're like, go to your room. That's how it feels with her. But with him, he's just like a dorky guy that looks like he couldn't do a push-up or something like that.
From what I read, it said that the box office projections have been lowered. I think it has to do with some of his comments.
Well, I know, and I don't want to drama stream for the sake of drama stream. You know, I want to be sincere in the things I do because you can get way more followers and way more views if you start doing stupid internet blood sports and fighting with people and doing all kinds of dumb shit on here. And if I were to say something against DC Comics or this James Gunn character, I would only say it because I mean it. Not to be like, ooh, I get clicks, I get money, I get views and followers. I don't. Once you become a slave to that kind of content, you are just that. You're a slave to that kind of content, and you have to make it forever. And that kind of content, it burns bright, but it burns fast. And it wears people emotionally, and you'll wear yourself and your audience out. And they're like, what else you got? What else you got?
The fatigue.
You'll fatigue yourself. You'll fatigue your audience. You'll fatigue your fake perceived enemies. It's an empty bucket. It doesn't work. It's fast food. Fast food doesn't nourish you, make you feel full and satisfied. It's just candy. It's Doritos. It's like, oh, I need more. I need more. I need more. I mean, they even had a slogan in the 90s for Lay's potato chips. You can't just eat one. Right?
Right.
And they would have these funny commercials where a guy would eat one and then he'd like go crazy trying not to eat another. But it's true. It doesn't have any vitamins or any nutrients that will really satisfy you. So you just need more and more and more and more, more. And that's what the blood sport, internet, Twitter, YouTube fighting, it's the same thing. Hold on. So I got some images together. I think I'm going to give my serious take on Superman and James Gunn and all that. But I always want to be fair and objective, and I want to be an honest person. I don't like lying politically or culturally because it doesn't work. First of all, you shouldn't lie. Lying is wrong. But you shortchange yourself and you dilute your own message. For instance, the Republicans were threatening California Democrats and Gavin Newsom with some bad press saying, well, on July 1st, gasoline prices in California are going to jump 60 cents a gallon. That upsets all of us here. It makes California Democrats look horrible, and I'm not saying they're great. I vote against them. It turned out to be a lie and fake news from Republicans. Yes, I will criticize my own side. Our gas prices, the tax went up 2 cents from 59 to 60 or something like that. So it didn't jump 60 cents. It went up to 60 cents from like 58 or 59. And it's like, why would you lie like that? Because now you lose credibility when the Democrats here are terrible. You don't need to lie about what they're doing. They're doing awful things. Just tell the truth about the awful things they're doing. So I want to be fair to the Superman movie. So I thought, should I wait till it comes out, go and see it, and then criticize and say they didn't learn the lesson? I think that would be more objective. I don't know.
But do you even want to see it when you already know they took out the American Way slogan?
I think to criticize it as best I can, I need to see it. I mean, I can go on the word of my friends because they'll be honest and, you know, Nerdrotic, all those guys, they're definitely going to see it and they're definitely going to shit on it if it's bad. But I think for my own self, what a bizarre phrase. For myself, since I am so connected to Superman specifically with my journey, with my story of leaving Warner Bros. And all that, I think I might need to see it so I can have the experience. Because you can be told something by people, but there's nothing like experiencing something yourself. And I think it's an important enough thing that I do need to see it. Yes, give them a little bit of money, but then I can intelligently comment on it. You know what I mean? I don't know. I think that makes more sense than just saying, oh, I heard this, I heard this, I heard this. I mean, I'm one of the few people on Earth in the history of the world that has made Superman for a living. You know, there's been 8 actors, probably been a couple hundred artists. There's 8 billion people currently on Earth, and there are, you know, millions and millions, perhaps a few billion before that. Just a few of us have done this. A few of us, this is an actual part of our lives on the creative end. So I do think, particularly Superman, I should probably go and see, you know, and then comment on it because it changed my life. When Tom Taylor and DC Comics wanted to make that, I didn't have any plans on leaving DC Comics anytime soon when that happened. And then I get the script, and I couldn't have been more disappointed. I had waited my entire career at DC to get regular work on prestigious books because I was one of their firemen. I could put out any trouble for them, any fire, any problem. So they would always put me on books like they were, oh, it's late. It's the last 3 issues. It's it, because they knew I could do work good and fast, which is a rare commodity. And I kind of screwed myself by doing work like that at DC. And I finally put my foot down and started saying no to shitty last-minute products after a phone call with Jim Lee where he advised me, because I complained to him about all the work they were giving me. It wasn't fun. It was disaster, last minute, late nights. And Jim told me, it's your own fault. Stop saying yes to crap. If they know they can go to you for that, they will. He was right. It was my own fault. So I put my foot down and immediately got a Superman. I'm like, wow, this is going to be a top book. Tom Taylor's a famous writer. John Timms is a great illustrator. I'm a great colorist. This is a home run. And then it's like, hey, let's do underage sex stories and anti-American slogans. And I quit. It changed my life. I worked my whole life to get that job, and I had to leave. So I do think I definitely should see it so I can comment on it with the most knowledge and the most emotional connection to what is there. I do think it'll be crappy now that I've heard what I've heard, that it's a story about immigrants and how we've lost our love and compassion for people, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, it's an anti-American, anti-Christian, anti-white, anti-Trump story. I get it. You know, that whole thing about, well, it's not truth, justice, in the American way. He's a world hero and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, like, if we're going to imagine Superman is real, which he isn't, but let's just say he's real and just embrace the concept. It is necessarily the American way, and American exceptionalism is necessarily part of his character. You cannot ignore that. It is the biggest part of who he is, because he came here from another planet as an infant, not knowing his parents. He was found in a crash spaceship in Kansas by 2 white people. Do you know what white people who are farmers are? They're not liberals. They're not atheists. They are American, white, European Christians. That's who they necessarily are. So when you raise someone that way, you name him Clark Kent. Kent is a British last name. Clark is a British name. That's a very white person. They are necessarily Christians. He has those values. So when he is heroic and he's loving and he's kind, he doesn't use his powers for evil, because he could rule the world as a mad god dictator with his invincible powers. But he's a good, judicious, loving person. That's his Christianity coming through. That's his American exceptionalism coming through. So that is the core of who he is American. It has to be that way. He was not raised in another culture. He absolutely is an American, and he's ultra-American. He is the American ideal. That we are the most powerful, but we're judicious. Look at America as a country. Look at our military. We could flatten every country on earth in an afternoon and rule the world. We can enslave and colonize every country on earth all at once. No one can stand up to us. We are like Superman. We cannot be defeated. But here we are being the world police, helping all the US aid, all the money going out the door. It's a grift, but some of it was helping. A tiny bit was helping. Most of it was a grift. But you get my point. We can do anything we want to anyone, anywhere, anytime, and we don't. That's just like Superman. So to shit on that, to spit on that, to say it never mattered, to say 75, 80 years of comic book creators, screw you, I'm just going to go with my own take now. It's like you let someone else build something and then take all the glory for yourself. It's disgusting what people like James Gunn and Tom Taylor and all those want to do. Now, I got to be more fair to James Gunn. I haven't seen it. Maybe he's shooting his mouth off for the press to stir up controversy. For those of you that don't study marketing, there is no such thing as bad press, really. I mean, there's some awful stuff. Ask Diddy. But you know what I mean. In general, notoriety works too. Ask Kim Kardashian, right? Ask Kanye West. Notoriety does. To persuade someone is how you sell. You can't persuade if you can't get attention. And to be notorious, you can get attention. So I think if James Gunn played it a little dangerous, but not too dangerous, he didn't out and out say F you to Christians in America, but he just kind of, there's a whiff of it. It gets eyeballs, and it can get people in the theater. It's a very dangerous game to play. High risk, high reward. But I think I got to see the movie before I completely destroy it. Because what if I'm saying things wrong? What if it isn't the way that I'm starting to think it is? So I don't know. It's a little bit I feel torn because like, well, I don't want to give any money for this shit. But I do feel different about Superman in particular. So
Now, playing the devil's advocate, though, do you expect it to be good when you already know some of these things for fact?
I
Like
don't
they've
know any of
taken,
them for fact. That's what I don't know.
didn't they come out, the movie producers themselves come out and say that they were taking out the American way?
Well, we know that. We know that he doesn't say the American way. Now,
And
will that make it the worst movie of all time if one line of dialogue isn't in there? No. What if there are some very pro-American concepts in it visually and plot-wise, but he just doesn't say that sentence? Do you know what I'm saying? Because you have to think about Rashomon, right? There's a viewpoint that everyone has. What if James Gunn sees his movie one way, and then I see it, and I'm like, no, that did have pro-American blah, blah, blah in it, to me. What if I'm able to honestly interpret it that way? So again, I think to be fair, you have to see it.
Hmm.
And believe me, I don't want to. I don't want to see it, but I think to give the best review, I need to see it. Yeah, I absolutely will see it. I am the Superman guy. I am the guy that went viral for Superman and sticking up for Superman. The crazy thing is, I'm not even crazy about the Superman character. I adore what he stands for. But the characters I was gravitated to were more aggressive. I think because I am a very aggressive person, so I was gravitated to more your Batman, your Punisher, your Wolverine, and Superman was like, he's cool, but he stands for amazing things. But I think it was more it wasn't as thrilling to me, the concept there, and that's just a personality thing. But just because he wasn't my absolute favorite didn't mean I didn't understand how important it was to defend it. When you are part of this fraternity of comic book creators, it's not oh, gimme, gimme, gimme. It's there's a responsibility that we are the custodians of these characters. We don't own them. We are custodians for a culture that was built for us, not by us. We contribute to it when we show up. I didn't create these things, and you have to understand the responsibility you have there. Someone has something that's great that people love, and they no longer work on it because they're old and they're retired or they're passed away, and it's now handed to you. You must have dignity and honor and like do your best with it and not ruin it and say, this thing is all about me now, my ego, my take, and my brilliance. Like, no, it's an honor to be here and to be one of the few people who gets to contribute to this. And I think a lot of the left is very selfish concept of, history started this morning. It's all about me and my feelings. And they don't just not care about the past and their forefathers. They have contempt. And that's why you see so much of this. Like, decades of truth, justice, the American way. And then Tom Taylor comes along and goes, you know what? I got a better slogan. And it's because he's not American. Right. And even the leftist Americans, they don't want to be American. They're like, ugh. So that American way, it's got to be the human way or a better way or a better tomorrow. And it's just like anything to give a middle finger to death.
I think Tom Taylor's just jealous of Americans.
Of course,
because he's not American.
He's not sure. How would you feel living your entire life upside down? The guy, quite literally, he's upside down.
Right. So why don't you tell everybody what you're working on?
I'm working on a panel from page 108 of The Unstoppable Tyrus. I have another secret project I have to do 6 illustrations for this week. It's freelance work. It's really, really fun stuff. You guys will see that later, probably in the fall or whatever. And I'll finish that up in about a week or so. And then I'll go back to Tyrus full time. I'm already on page 108. I'm just going on 125. So we're finishing this. If anyone out there knows a colorist, let me know. And I do not hire people that are amateurs. I need people that have worked at Marvel, DC, Image, Dark Horse, the mainstream comics. I am looking for a colorist for the book you're looking at. I will color it myself if I have to. Some things fell through with a guy I had working on some color stuff. Didn't work out. No one's a bad guy or anything like that. Just circumstance. And I'm looking for a colorist for this book. So if you know someone that has professional published credentials in real mainstream stuff, let me know, please, because I'm looking.
Send them your way. And who's this you're working on specifically?
I'm working on Steinbeck. He's hiding behind some rocks because he's spying on something he's not supposed to be looking at. So, in a mystical cave. What I combined in this book is my love of like Indiana Jones and Zelda, like ancient civilizations and prophecies and hidden relics and things like that, with like Ninja Turtles and Incredible Hulk Avengers superheroics. So this is a time-spanning superhero action like mystery adventure. It's really, really fun stuff. Mystery. It's not a mystery like Sherlock Holmes or anything like that, but there's mysterious things, ancient stuff that's pretty mysterious that we get to find out some cool stuff about. So
You got a hi from Hardy Harmonica.
hey Harmonica, how you doing, brother?
And he also asks a color. Are we okay using that word now? Oh.
A colorist? Yeah, we're gonna have to be okay with it.
So question, something I read today, I don't know, maybe you already know all about this, but I read that Jim Lee has his first image cover in over 14 years.
Oh, good for him.
And it's, but I don't know who this is. It says is for Geiger.
Who? Oh, Geiger. Geiger is a hero created by you met him. I worked with him a bunch. Jeff Johns.
Oh, okay.
Jeff Johns. It's a radioactive superhero, like a Geiger counter, that thing.
Yep.
Like that. And Gary Frank illustrates it, and the amazing Brad Anderson colors it. It's for their Ghost Machine comic book, or Ghost Machine imprint. Ghost Machine is their imprint with like 5 or 6 different comics.
Mm-hmm.
And they were all big shots that left DC Comics to form this. It was Gary Frank, Brian Hitch, Francis Manapul, and Jason Fabuk, and I'm not sure who else, all-star DC Comics illustrators. And they are doing Ghost Machine. It's an imprint at DC Comics, and they are all co-owners of this. I was just talking to Brad about it the other day, telling him, just talking to Brad Anderson the other day. He's a colleague of mine because we were both top flight DC colorists for a while there.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
He's a great guy, hard worker, and just, I think, currently the best colorist in comics. I'd hire him if I could, but he has an exclusive contract with Ghost Machine, is what I have found out, which I'm very, very unhappy about. I don't like this. Happy for him, but I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. And I think my old editor, Brian Cunningham, is editing. I think so.
Also good. Also a good guy.
Like Brian.
Me too.
I wonder if he stayed in Southern California, because he was like a New Yorker or something like that. He was one of those guys. And he moved over here when DC moved everything over here, but he doesn't work at DC anymore. So did he stay out here? Now, I know his wife, Paula, was writing television shows. She was writing Supergirl and some other stuff. So maybe they stayed out here because of her Hollywood writing. I don't know if she's still writing. She probably is. But, yeah, I think Brian is editing for that. I'm going to go by Ghost Machine during Comic-Con and say hello to my friends over there.
Yeah, I liked some of your editors over there at DC Comics.
I think my best friend editor was Brian Cunningham. We got along quite well.
There was another guy too, and he was super nice to the kids.
Mike Martz was an editor for me at DC for a while, and then he was the boss at Aftershock, where I did one of my favorite books I ever did. He took us out to lunch once or twice. He was nice.
I remember him. No, I'm talking. I cannot remember his name.
It was Jim Chadwick, and you insulted him.
It was a compliment. No, it was the guy, and he looked super New Yorky, and he would let the kids help them pass out the buttons.
Oh, Vinny?
Vinny, yeah.
Vinny was a marketing guy.
Okay.
I don't know exactly, but I think his job was like, he gets on the horn with comic book shops around the country.
Yes,
and
that's exactly correct.
So he's like, hey, we got a new Batman miniseries. You're going to want to order extra copies. There's a limited edition cover. I think that's what Vinny did.
Yeah, he did.
I like Vinny. I'll have to. I think I saw him walking around Comic Con. I'm not sure.
I really like him.
Yeah,
he was
a fun guy, and he was super New York.
Yes, exactly. He was like a
right?
caricature of what you imagine a New Yorker was like. But he was always super nice to the kids, very friendly, let them help. Was like, okay, you over here, and giving them little jobs at the DC booth back when you worked at for DC Comics in-house in La Jolla. And yeah, always super friendly and just great to talk to. Just super funny and likable. I really liked him.
Yeah.
Fun times.
Yeah, I like the people that are real outgoing. I'm not an introvert at all, and the introversion stuff is a little annoying to me. It's like you're trying to like pull teeth with some people. I don't know. So yeah, I like people that have energy. I don't like people that feel like you have to wake them up in the talk, like they took some Quaaludes or something.
Right.
So it's not that I don't dislike them as human beings. I'm just saying I don't like interacting with people like that. It's not enough.
Right. No, it's more fun to talk to someone when they're engaging and happy to talk to you. So
Well, I think being introverted is selfish. If you don't want to talk to anyone, go home. Don't be at a thing where everyone is there and everyone's trying to okay, Eeyore.
right.
What was Eeyore's fucking problem?
I don't know.
You know?
He would just say stuff like nobody likes him.
Yeah, no shit, nobody
Of
likes
course, it rained on his birthday.
Yeah, well, that's what you get.
So, you want to talk a little bit about Comic-Con? What are your plans? What are you doing?
Well, we're going
Where's
to
your
debut
booth?
Empyrean Earth Illuminated, July 24th, my 47th birthday. We will start the crowdfund for that. I have a limited edition Tyrus preview comic that I'm going to send over to the printer today. Just going to print a limited run of that. It'll only be available at Comic-Con. It has concept art, a few pages from the upcoming graphic novel, not many, just a few. Some unused art, some of the covers we did a year ago before we even knew the characters and the story fully. So we're not going to use those covers on the final edition, I don't think, because they somewhat don't make sense. And that'll be a fun thing you get. We're going to have just some fun stuff you can pick up there. You're going to be able to meet me. You're going to be able to meet Neurotic is going to do a signing, I believe. We haven't confirmed the time or the day, but I believe Saturday. Chris Gore and Alan from Film Threat are going to do, I think, Thursday and Saturday signings. We've got the great party Saturday night. And the booth is going to be alive and jumping. You're going to be able to see Empyrean. You're going to be able to pick it up there at the booth. For those of you who can't come, the crowdfunding starts that day. You can pick it up online. And that's just going to be a really good time. It's going to be really fun. We always have a blast there.
Right. I read that Marvel, DC, and Star Wars, so I guess that's Disney, they're skipping the Comic-Con this year.
What do you mean, skipping it fully, like no booths?
It doesn't say exactly, but it says citing high costs and diminished impact.
Well, if I can afford to be there, you guys.
That was okay. So this is why I brought it up, because doesn't Time Warner own DC Comics? Is that right? So if anybody has money, don't they?
Well, wait. Why would they want to be at Comic-Con when they just launched a new Superman?
Right.
Why would you want to be there? Why would you want the new actor? I think is it David Corenswet? Corenswet, I believe is how you say it.
I don't know.
Better not be Cornsweat. That's gross. I wouldn't want to eat sweaty corn.
Corenswet?
I believe that's his name. Never heard of the guy
That's
before.
how it's spelled, Corenswet.
Never heard of him before. Is he British or something like that?
I don't know. They had a great Henry Cavill who was made to be Superman, and they couldn't get it off the ground with him.
No, they couldn't write a script or anything for the guy.
Like that man was built to be Superman.
You know what? He's built to be James Bond, and they won't get that either.
That is also correct. But yeah, so they're skipping the Comic-Con, and I just, to me, that's just so bizarre, because this is like the Super Bowl of comic book conventions, and they are the biggest players in the industry
in the world. This is
Superman.
Is Superman. They are called superheroes. Spider-Man isn't the biggest. Iron Man isn't the biggest. Deadpool's not the biggest. Wolverine, Batman, they're not the biggest heroes. The most iconic superhero in the world is Superman. He just is. He is the superhero. And to not be at the superhero convention is silly and absurd. But, you know, look at everything else they've done.
Yeah, and so it does have a little side note that DC Studios will be promoting Peacemaker season 2,
Oh,
which
cool.
I know. But do you remember? Okay, so if anybody's been to Comic-Con, DC Comics had one of the biggest booths
They had the
in the
best booths
middle
for
of the
20
convention.
some years.
Right. Huge, beautiful. I mean, they would just display the best artwork, the most popular comics, all of that. And then
But
when
they
they
had costumes from movies and they had
yes,
toys, and it was such a great booth. Some of those booths, the company spends $1 zillion. You go stand in the booth, there's nothing to look at after you leave in a few minutes.
right.
But these
That's
comic
the
booths are
the
really
Marvel
nice.
booth is like
And the
that.
Marvel booth sucks. It's a big black stage for
They-
movie stars to go walk on so you can scream and worship them. Like, yeah, that's
and then
not
they'll
great.
throw a couple of T-shirts out to the crowd,
Right.
and
The Marvel booth is very much, oh yes, the peasants worship me.
it is
Ugh.
absolutely.
And I guess if you're in the religion of the MCU, that's great for you. But I was ahead of the curve. I said those movies sucked from the start, and no one agreed with me. And now you all make fun of those movies. How dare you? I saw you all loving those movies for years. Now you're trying to act like you agreed with me this whole time.
Right. And we pretty much didn't watch any of those movies. We
No, there's
saw,
like 30 Marvel movies. I've seen like 5. I
Yeah.
can't stand it.
and we saw the very first one, where it started with Iron Man. Your uncle took us.
Right.
He took everyone in your family. Your family's not huge, but everyone in your family went. And Uncle Dave paid for.
Yeah.
And we ate at
Buca de Beppo.
Buca de Beppo.
It's the only time I've eaten at Buca de Beppo.
Yeah, me too. But yeah, so we only saw that one pretty much, at least me. I haven't seen, I
We
think,
took the kids to see the first Captain America. We saw Guardians of the Galaxy. The
I
first
did
one,
not see that. You took the
I
kids.
took the kids to see that. It was funny, like whatever. It wasn't overly dirty or anything, so you know it was tolerable. Seen about 5 or 6 of these things. My brother dragged me to go see the Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
I remember you came home and
I
complained.
would rather. What would I rather do than that?
Go outside and work on the fence.
I'd rather, like, yeah, I don't know. I'd rather like deal with a internet connectivity problem. You know, like your internet goes out and you can't fix it for a few hours, and you're messing on your computer. You call customer service. I have Starlink from Elon Musk. It doesn't do that. It's amazing. But you know, like computer problems or things that are just kind of mysterious problems where you don't know what's wrong.
You
don't know how
didn't
to
do
fix it.
anything and it just broke.
I think I would rather do that, and I hope I never have to do anything like that. I think I would rather do that than watch
Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness ever again. Or any of this Marvel slop. Oof. So bad. So bad.
We have not even seen. I think I only
I've
ever
never seen the
saw.
Avengers. I've never seen it.
I
knew
think
not to go see it.
I think I only ever saw also the first Spider-Man. I know that's not part of the multiverse, but the Spider-Man movie, I only ever saw the one with Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, there were 3 of those, and I would say all 3 of those are good. People like to shit on the third one. There's nothing.
Oh, I might have seen the second one from there, but I know I didn't see the third one. And I also have never seen the cartoon one. But yeah, but everyone you talk to, they love those movies, but now they are making fun of them.
Yeah, now they're trying to pretend like this. You're not fooling me. I know you guys all love that shit.
Yeah, they were all part of that. It's kind of funny. And they would be so shocked. You guys haven't seen it?
It's the most vapid, normie shit of all time. It is so devoid of any calories. It's pure junk. And then, I mean, it's humor for idiots, that stuff. It is the worst quip-a-minute dog shit I've ever seen. And I am an award-winning comedy writer, by the way. I know comedy. I've coached and mentored my daughter to a great comedy career. I help her write jokes occasionally now. I don't need to. But in the old days, I wrote a lot with her and helped her with it. I know comedy. I know how to do it, and Marvel doesn't. That stuff, it's infuriating, that stuff. How bad the comedy. And that was one of the main issues I had with it, was how bad the jokes are. Intolerable.
Yeah, it's
I thought you said you knew these people. We got company.
yeah, I don't know. It's not for me. So going to back to what you're working on, how do you go about um, designing and creating a character to make them, I guess, who they are, but make them distinct from the others? Like, what's your approach?
Well, I mean, visually, it's all about silhouettes. You should be able to tell who a character is from 3 blocks away. Like when you see your friends walking down the street, you can tell which one is which, right?
Right.
They're a block or two away because their bodies are different. So just visually, you need to be able to tell who characters are from far away. So that's the first step. But everything is like a yes and concept in improv. Everything in art is that way. Everything has to have verisimilitude and agree with itself. So I can't just pick a silhouette and say, well, his silhouette is big and fat and hers is skinny and wriggly and this and that. It also has to re-emphasize and agree with their character, who they are, how they speak, what they do, what they're doing in this story, and what their role is going to be. The shape of their body has to emphasize that as well. So that's where you start there. And then you do a lot of research on clothing, animals, whatever they're based on. And then you just kind of do variations on themes. That's how you go into it. That's how I come up with characters. So when I came up with some of the characters for this book, some of the bad guys, there's a goat. We kind of associate a goat as an anti-lamb, right? Lambs are holy. In the Western Christian tradition, the holy lamb, the lamb of God, the lamb of sacrifice. And the goat is kind of like the satanic character, right? The goat is the evil, ugly version of a lamb. And its meat isn't as tasty, and they got weird rectangle eyes and stuff like that. And then one of the other bad guy animals, he was a bird of prey. So you think of bird of prey, you think of like a cold killer, no mercy, just giant talons and wings and swooping out of the sky and eating little creatures. So you want to. So I picked those animals intentionally because of the associations we have with them. And then visually you go into them, and the goat, he's black, and he has red trim on his uniform, and everything about black fur, like dark colored horns, black uniform with red trim. The bird character, Zelix, he's not going to be black because we already have the one. We could have made it like a crow or something. But I made him a hawk. So he is brown and white, but, we gave him gold and stuff like that. So he's arrogant and regal and stuff like that. So that's when you come up with character design, everything should be and this, and this, and this, and it all agrees with itself. The shape, the form, the actions, the poses, the facial expression, the color, it all agrees with what you're trying to say about that character. So that's the basic premise.
So what I'm hearing is, well, let me ask it a different way. So when you're writing the story, or let's say the story's written, so then you have to make the character design match what you described, like his personality and all that, like you said, like he's evil.
Well, I
so
wouldn't
you want
write a
him.
full story without knowing the characters. Well, I don't.
So do you ever come up with the character first, and then you are like, oh yeah, I'm going to write this into the story now because I really like the way this guy looks or this design I've come up with?
I mean, sort of, but it's all kind of happening at the same time. The only character that's first to me is the protagonist, the hero. We have this guy, and he's going to be the hero because he's going to do this thing. And then the rest of the world kind of does that yes and I was talking about. Well, if he's going to do this, then we need a challenge that does that. We need a bad guy that does this. We need a sidekick that does that. We need a neutral guy that's doing this. And all of it is building to the point of the story. What is the good guy doing, and what does this story say about life and the human experience? So to me, it all starts with the hero, and everything has to come out of that to make the hero more, how do I say, make me correct about what I'm saying about the hero. Everything around it has to make me correct about that. Because stories are arguments. Stories are, I'm arguing a fact about the universe, about life. And by the end of the story, I am trying to say, see, I was right. You should believe this. So all the characters besides the main character come from the main character, because everything is about the main character. That's why they're the main character. They're there to serve the main character's journey. So we create them as an opposite of him, as an antagonist, as a helper, as someone asking questions. Well, all of it is there to lend a very believable path to the hero's journey.
And what's the hardest part about creating the character, and what's the easiest part about creating it?
I don't think there's any hard part. I think the challenge is staying consistent, always making sure you agree with your premise, you know, because it's easy to just get creative and have some fun writing or doing something, and then it doesn't match what you were already trying to do. I mean, I suppose that doesn't seem to happen to me. I'm pretty good at the whole yes and pattern, creating the patterns. But I suppose that's the thing you have to keep in mind is that, oh, this is the negative character. He's always doubting everything. He's always this. So you can't have him one day show up in the scene being Mr. Positivity unless he was lying or trying to trick someone or something. But I think being consistent, that verisimilitude is very important in your story in every aspect. Because as soon as you break it, the story's not believable. That's why the SJW stuff never works. Because they try to write to you that slow is fast, that fat is skinny, that up is down. They try to write you that because they are feelings-based people. And feelings don't jive with facts. So when they try to write a story that it's good to be selfish. In the Newly Loaded Stitch, Ohana means family, and family means nobody gets left behind. That was the old 90s movie premise. And then they added a postscript to that that says nobody gets left. And that includes not leaving yourself behind and not giving yourself what you want. Like, that's the opposite of selflessness. That is selfishness. So they're trying to tell you, they're trying to piss in your boot and tell you it's raining, as they say in Texas. And you know it's piss. You know it's a golden shower, and they're trying to sell it as entertainment. And that's why it doesn't work. So it's like not only is woke art immoral, it's also unskilled. It's also of low quality because it doesn't follow the basic tenet of storytelling, which is verisimilitude. You can write anything you want, but it better agree with itself. You can write about time travel, talking dinosaur attorneys. You can make up anything, but it has to agree with itself.
Right.
And as soon as you say selfishness is good, sorry, that doesn't work. No one believes that. How do we all feel when someone is selfish at our expense? So why would I ever believe a story where you told me selfishness was good? No one believes it. So no one believes your story, so no one enjoys it.
Right.
Art is about truth and beauty. When you try and make art that isn't true, you cannot make it beautiful and no one can enjoy it.
And when you're working on these characters, have you ever run into where you've gotten pretty far into the story and you realize you need to change something about them? How do you handle that?
I mean, writing is rewriting, is the old saying. So yeah, it's like a drawing. You sketch something out, you erase it. You sketch something out, you erase it, and you refine, you refine, you refine. Writing is rewriting. If you don't want to rewrite, you're not a writer. You're not writing if you're not rewriting. I'll write these drafts for 120-page graphic novels, and I'll write them 4 times, and then we'll draw it, and that changes the story when we draw it, and then we'll do the lettering, and that changes the story again, and we're always improving it. We're always, oh, you know what? We wrote this, but we drew this. But we lettered it this way. We put the word balloons. We just changed a little bit of what he was saying here. So yeah, it's an organic. The art is organic. It's alive, and you're always doing everything you can to refine it. It's like precious metals, diamond, ore. You find it in the ground. It's impure. You have to cut it. You have to polish it. So if it's gold, you have to melt it down and burn off the impurities. Stories are the same way. You find a diamond, but it has all kinds of flaws and impurities, and you just keep working it until you get a thing of beauty. So yeah, writing is rewriting. Yeah, no one can write perfect the first thing they write, the first draft. When I watch a movie or read something and it sucks, I'm always like, oh, this was the first draft. They needed to rewrite that. They needed to think more and go, okay, that was fun, but here's the problem with that part of the story, and that goes for every writer out there. Writing is rewriting. It's no big deal.
Right. Well, we just have a few minutes left. You can remind everybody and talk about say any last things. But one thing I wanted to remind everyone is to keep an eye out for the link to the Eventbrite if you want to get tickets.
Tickets for what?
To
Superman?
go, yes, tickets to go to the Big Man Comics San Diego Comic-Con meetup.
The fan meetup with Nerdrotic and the guys from Film Threat.
Yep.
Yeah, we're gonna put out a Eventbrite link for that soon. That'll be Saturday, July 26th at 8 p.m. at Urban Coal Fired Pizza in San Diego for the San Diego Convention Center. That is for the San Diego Comic-Con, not the Convention Center. That is our 2025 meetup. We had a great meetup last year. It sold out, guys, right away. We filled the building to capacity. It was an awesome, awesome time. If you've ever been to the parties Nerdrotic does in Vegas and all that, it's a great time. And any of my parties in the past, I did 7, 8, or 9 of these in the past before. It's a lot of fun. So check us out there. And I'll just say, follow me on X, Big Man Comics, on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. I'm Gabe. On TikTok, I'm Big Man Comics 1. And we're here every Monday through Friday. We took some time off last week for the holiday. We're here every Monday through Friday, 11 to noon Pacific. Tomorrow night from 7 till whenever we're done, p.m. Pacific, I'm going to be going over the amazing Mel Gibson movie from 2006, Apocalypto. Love this movie, one of my favorite movies. We're going to be reviewing that with my co-conspirator, my improv comedy buddy, Jericho Green. And I guess that's it. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.